What's going on YouTube? OCD for EDC here. And what I got for your face balls today is a very interesting knife. Comes in this packaging right here. It's a nice little hard pelican style case. And this happens to be from Ohlone Knives. And it's an interesting knife. So let's just get into it. We're going to talk a lot about this guy. So you can see here the box has got some nice little clasps on it, and kind of a cool box. And this model right here is called the GOAT, GOAT, and it does not stand for greatest of all time, so it is not an acronym. It actually was named after just the goat, an actual four-legged mammal. So we'll start this off with a few size comparisons. Here it is against the Hogue Deca. So you can see we're looking at a fairly decent size EDC knife. And here it is against the Kershaw Knockout. So a little smaller, just a tiny bit smaller than the Deca, a little smaller than the Knockout. And actually, I'm going to flip it over, show the pretty side of the ZT-0470. Really digging the way this knife turned out and the look of it. Digging the color. So, there you go. I think that'll do it for size comparisons. So, what are we looking at here? We've got an overall length of 6.97 inches. We've got a handle length of 3.962, and we have a blade length that is just right at 3 inches, right on the money. Got a handle thickness of 480 thousandths, a blade stock of 118 thousandths, so fairly thin blade stock, and behind the edge thickness, very, very nice. You look, it is a flat ground blade, full flat ground blade. And it ranges a little bit from 17 to 18 thousandths. You can see here you got a really nice stone wash finish on the blade. And we'll get a weight on this thing real quick. There you go, 2.976 ounces. So really nice EDC size and weight, really in all dimensions, just a really, really great EDC knife. This thing goes in and out of the pocket extremely well. You can see here that the handles are contoured, and you do have a really nice back spacer. Does have a bit of a gear pattern on the back spacer, and you've got some milled out areas back here where you land with the flipper tab. So full titanium build, M390 blade steel. This version did come with multiple different inlays. This here is, I think they refer to this as the twill carbon fiber inlay. There were multiple different inlays available. There was a marbled carbon fiber, and then there was a marble carbon fiber with red accents in it, and another one that had blue accents. As far as I know, all of them are just the standard raw titanium finish, so the only options were the inlays. This knife sold right now. Currently this is sold out, so I apologize for that. However, I do have some news about that, which we'll get into here in a little bit. There wasn't a tremendous number of these made. This is a fairly new company, and not necessarily a new knife designer, but new for being out on his own with the company Ohlone. So, Ohlone Knives. I've actually talked with the owner of Ohlone Knives, really great guy. His name is Deric Costa, and just a fantastic guy. I contacted him. I had some questions for him about this knife, and it was great. You know, I kind of feel like I've made a new friend out of it, which is fantastic. But I one was unsure how to pronounce Ohlone Knives. I didn't know if it was Ohlone or Ohlone or how it was pronounced, but uh, Ohlone, I've come to learn, was an Indian tribe in Northern California. Not one that I had ever heard of prior to this, but I did do a little research. I did some reading on the old internet, and it was quite interesting. The Ohlone Indian tribe was from Northern California and really kind of got wiped out by Spanish settlers, which is kind of interesting. And yeah, so there's some cool history there. If you want to check that out, go and search it out online. There's definitely, if you're into history, there's some cool stuff there. All right. So, Derek, after talking with him, I'd went on his website and saw he has a few different models that are currently available. He's got a model called the Shark that is currently available. You can purchase it on his website. Really nice knife. And on that knife, I saw the D-Rocket logo, which was a logo I was familiar with. That's a knife that I have, or a manufacturer, a designer that I've actually owned a couple of their knives. And I was pleasantly surprised to find out that Derek was part of that some time ago. And so a knife that I personally had was an OTF model called the Zulu Spear. He was involved in that collaboration, and now he's gone out on his own, and that's great. So he started Ohlone Knives. He was still involved with D-Rocket when they made the Shark. But like I said, you can check that knife out on his website, which I will link his website below. So, places to get this knife. We're going to talk about multiple things throughout this video. But one person that I definitely want to give a huge shout out is a man by the name of Aaron Park. Aaron is the owner and operator of a fantastic knife shop out in Meridian, Idaho. And Meridian, if you're not familiar, is a suburb of Boise. And I travel out there. If you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you've probably heard me mention that I travel quite a bit for work. Boise, Idaho is a place that I travel to a handful of times a year, generally 3 or 4, maybe 5 times a year. And for those that don't know, Boise, Idaho is a beautiful area. I know for the most of the country, you just think about potatoes when you hear Idaho. Trust me when I tell you, it's a hidden gem. Boise is one of my favorite cities in this country. It's right up there in the top 3 for me, and like I said, I travel a lot, so I get to see a lot of places. Definitely, it's just absolutely gorgeous. NorthWest Knives, if people are familiar with the area, it is kind of catty corner to the Villages, which is a kind of a, I'm gonna, just for lack of knowledge, I'm gonna say it's a kind of a higher end shopping mall, kind of like an outdoor shopping mall. Anyway, it's called the Villages, and it's a really really nice area altogether. But NorthWest Knives is right in that area, so if you are familiar, go check them out. And I'm gonna put their address and website, all their contact info in the description as well. So yeah, definitely go and check them out. So like I said, the owner, his name is Aaron Park, just a phenomenal guy. And I met him for the first time about a year ago, was the first time I actually walked into NorthWest Knives. And I was really shocked at the inventory that they had. Where I live in the Midwest, we don't have quote unquote knife shops. At least not good ones. And I don't mean to downplay anything. Like the only close good knife shop to me is Omaha Knife. But I live in Iowa, so that's still a couple hours away for me. So right here in the Des Moines area, we have got, like Bass Pro Shop or Sportsman's Warehouse. Not what I would consider to be a knife shop or knife store. But NorthWest Knives is a fantastic knife shop that has a tremendous amount of inventory. They sell some really fantastic stuff. and they kind of run the range. They have a lot of fixed blade stuff. They have a tremendous amount of folders. They got everything from custom J. Kobach stuff to Ohlone Knives, and of course all the standard stuff like Spyderco, Benchmade, those types of knives. They sell Hogue, Medford, a lot of American made stuff, and they even have a pretty good selection of South African knives as well. So definitely go and check them out. And I have something kind of exciting to tell you about. So any of you that are interested in picking up a knife and you purchase a knife from NorthWest Knives, here is their logo, and this is a t-shirt that I bought from them, and you can see right here, Meridian, Idaho, and this is the front of the shirt, and this is what it looks like on the back of the shirt. If I guess my camera is not high enough, but you can see their NorthWest Knives and Meridian, Idaho, and there's their website right there. But Aaron, I told him that I was going to make this video about this knife right here, and it came from Aaron at NorthWest Knives, and he told me that if anyone orders a knife from him and mentions my channel, so whether you order it online or call or however you want to contact them, or just walk into the store, tell them you learned about their store from my channel. So, if you're ordering online, type OCD for EDC in the comment section or whatever, you'll get a free t-shirt. And they're really nice t-shirts. They're super soft, really awesome. And who doesn't love a free t-shirt? Seriously. Like, my wife, she will about run people over, like at sporting events and whatnot, to get a free t-shirt. It's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, so you guys are gonna buy the knife anyway. You might as well go and buy it from just a fantastic family. I can't say enough good things about Aaron. Just a phenomenal guy, and his wife Kippy also works there, as well as his daughter Kristen. Just great people. And yeah, definitely I want to do whatever I can to help support them, just because I like that, I like to help support good people, and they definitely are. So get yourselves a free t-shirt. They come in a whole bunch of colors. I actually have 3 of their t-shirts going back from the very first time I went into their store, and one of them's dirty right now because I wear them all the time. So they've got them in a ton of different colors. Like I said, this is what's on the front, the small logo here. This is the back of the shirt right here. Awesome shirts, and you will get one free when you mention my channel name, OCD for EDC. So now that I got that out of the way, definitely go and check them out. Now, back to the knife. So this is going to be a knife. I'm actually going to do a handful of videos. We are going to modify this knife top to bottom, front to back, and make what is already a fantastic knife into something that's a little more custom and even a little bit cooler, maybe, in some people's opinion, maybe not in others, but we'll see how it goes. You can see here, one of my favorite things about this knife is this pocket clip. I love this pocket clip. Now, with that being said, I do have one thing, and it's I guess it could be considered a negative. It's not a huge negative, but I think it's really just because my hands are very large. So you can see here, this knife, my hand is larger than the knife. For me, with the way this pocket clip, the way the end flips up right there, I can feel it in my hand. I'm gonna squeeze it hard and let's see if it'll leave a mark. So yeah, you can see the pocket clip outline, but the end of it hits me, right in this region here. It's not terrible. It's not bad enough that it is painful or anything like that, but I can feel it. So, if it were to fold back over or go straight or flat or something, it would work better in my hand. However, I feel like if someone's hands were a little smaller than mine, which the vast majority are, then I don't think this would be an issue, because my wife, I had her hold this knife, and she said that she couldn't really feel that at all. So I think it's just a deal that, my second knuckle is landing right over that spot right there, right in this area here. So it's like I said, it's not a huge deal. It's not a killer for me or anything, but it is something that I noticed. However, I like the clip so much in every other way. Aesthetically, I love it. I think it's fantastic. I like the way that it's it's a milled pocket clip. However, it's kind of emulating what a sheet metal pocket clip, the way it functions. And I think we can all agree that, generally speaking, milled pocket clips do not function the best. They may look cool and that sort of thing, but functionally, they're not stellar a lot of times. This one is fantastic. You can see here, it's very deep carry. It's not 100%, but you only have, maybe 1/4 of an inch or something sticking out of your pocket there. I guess that would have worked better had I used a non-busy. Well, this hank here came from Mrs. J. Cool, and it's kind of busy on both sides. So, but that's what I had in my pocket today. So anyway, but thanks a lot, Beth, for the hank. I love it. You can see there the pocket clip, and it subtly has this contour, which I really, really like. It's not something you notice right away, but after you really look at this knife, you can see that the pocket clip actually follows the contour of the back of the handle, which is just a really nice detail. I really enjoy that. The other negative we'll say about this knife, and again, not a deal breaker for me, it just is one thing I've noticed, and you can even kind of see it a little bit. I don't know how well that's going to show up on camera, but the relief cut for the lock bar and the inlay, it actually makes a little pocket there, and it's just a lint catcher. Again, not a huge deal, but for me, it's something that I always like to see the relief cuts done on the internally done instead of being external, which like on the ZT here, this is even a worse offender of it because this gets caught up on your pocket when you're trying to go into the pocket. And this one here isn't horrible, but a lot of knives have this issue. Now this one functionally doesn't cause that problem because you have this inlay that's over there, so you don't notice this going in and out of the pocket. However, it's just kind of a, catch-all for pocket lint and that sort of thing. But again, not a deal breaker. It's just something I noticed. Otherwise, this knife is really fantastic. I really like the finish on the blade. The stonewash finish is very, very nicely done. It's very even and consistent. It looks to me like they polished the blade first, or at least, some level of polish before they did the stonewash, which is just really, really nice. I mean, the blade feels like glass, which is really great. The plunge grind is very symmetrical and well done. Now, I have heard some people mention that this knife does not have a sharpening choil, which I don't really understand that, I guess, because the only time a choil comes into play is when the cutting edge of the blade is not below this area back here. So, and of course I don't have one sitting right here, but on Spyderco's, they'll have like their finger choil area starts where this portion sits below the cutting edge. So when you go to put it on a stone, you can't get all the way to the back edge of the knife because you have this area that is not ground, hits your stone. Now, in this particular case here, you can see that the cutting edge actually sticks down below this area. Now, granted, after however many sharpenings, this may become an issue, in which case you could take a Dremel or a grinder or whatever, a file, whatever you want to do, and grind a little sharpening choil. But at least for quite a bit of time, I mean, you're going to have to sharpen it several times before you sharpen off that much of the blade, so it's really a non-issue for now. But if you use the knife a ton and you sharpen it. I'm just guessing here. It's going to live through 6, 7, 8 sharpenings before that becomes an issue. Maybe more than that. So yeah, it's a minor thing. And if you're a person that strops your knife to keep the edge up and stuff, you aren't going to be doing a whole lot of reprofiling. It's going to last a very, very long time. As far as the construction goes here, so you've got 2 slabs of titanium that is contoured. Every surface on this knife is very well contoured and rounded. You've got T8 pivot screw and T6 body screws. And we are going to go ahead and disassemble this knife so you can check this out internally. There's a cool thing going on inside here, which is always good to see. The pocket clip on this knife is not reversible. I've heard some people comment about that and wondering if it is reversible. Yes, the screw goes through, but as you can see right there, there is a milled square hole for the pocket clip to sit in, and the pocket clip, like I said, is contoured, so you would have to have a different pocket clip that's bent the other direction to make it work on the opposite side of the knife. So it is right side tip up carry only, which in my conversations with Deric, the designer, he's actually left-handed like myself, but he also understands that is a small portion of the population. We can't all be fantastic, right? I get it. So this is what you're looking at here, and you can tell that there is no weight relieving, but the weight of this knife is really perfect in my opinion. It feels great in hand, so this knife didn't really need any weight relieving. But we do have some hardened steel washers here. Excuse me. And the washers are actually made of thick material, so they're not just paper thin, so they're not going to cup out on you over time, which is great. So I'm going to stick that back in there. And here you go. You can see the backspacer there. I like how it comes up on the end here just to protect the tip. And, when this knife is totally up against the blade stop, the tip of the knife sits down past that little kind of hook in the backspacer, which is just really nicely done. The geometry was well thought out here. You can see the detent hole and the detent track riding on bronze caged ceramic ball bearings. This knife has excellent action. It's a joy to open and close. And then we lift that off, and you can see the other bearing there. And then you can see the logo, Ohlone Knives. And if you hadn't noticed already, on the exterior of this knife, there is 0 branding. So, I really like that. It's really classy. This is a really nice laser etch on the inside. It's very deep. You can definitely feel it, and I really like that. I think it just looks classy. The blade is completely sterile on both sides. It doesn't even have a blade steel call out, but like I said, it is M390. And you do have some functional jimping on the actual flipper tab, but that's it. That's the only jimping on the knife, with the exception of the backspacer, which the backspacer sits flush with the scales, so it's really the gear pattern is really there just for aesthetics, but I think it looks nice. He did it well, and so we're going to go ahead and put this back together. This knife was manufactured by Tuya Knives. So if those of you that are familiar with Dave Warren from Tuya Knives, Tuya over in China is who manufactured this knife, and they did a really good job. The one thing that it could be a positive or a negative, I guess, depending on who you're talking to. To me, I'm really just kind of indifferent about it. Is the inlays? The inlays actually sit ever so slightly proud of the scales, and I'll show you that here in a moment once I get this back together. And it's kind of interesting because the fact that they do sit a little bit proud of the scales offers some functional traction, which otherwise this knife is very, very smooth, and not in a bad way. The stone, or kind of the bead blast finish that's on the titanium, it's very, very subtle, and it's not a slick knife. I haven't had any issues with this knife in hand, dropping it or anything like that, which can be a problem with some models. This it isn't slick, however, it is very, very smooth. And so the fact that you have these inlays, let me make sure we're good to go here. Okay, got 0 blade play. Now the blade on this, you can shake it down. It is a very light blade, only being 118 thousandths blade stock, and then you also have got not crazy aggressive distal taper, but it starts to taper down for about right here. So there's just not a lot of weight out here at the tip. It's definitely just a good EDC drop point blade. It's the tip's not too fragile, but it's certainly thin enough that it cuts very well. This thing is extremely sharp right out of the box, which actually that's one thing I forgot that I wanted to do. So yeah, I'll grab the sharpness tester here in just a second, and we'll see how sharp this is. But I don't know if you'll be able to see this on camera or not, but the inlays sit, maybe 5 thou or something proud of the scales. It might not even be that, maybe 3. I don't know. It's enough that I can feel it with my fingers. And it's consistent all the way around. It's not like it's, sitting proud here and not over here. It's very consistent all the way around. But they do sit just a little bit proud. Again, not a huge issue. It's just something to, talk about. The carbon fiber is very, very well done. 0 voids in there. I really, really like the pattern on it. It's really beautiful. It's beautifully contoured with the handle scales, and just really, this is a simple knife that's done very, very well, and therefore it's a great knife. I just, it's thin behind the edge. It's going to cut well. The action on it is addictive, and it's a lot of fun to play with. It sounds great. You can hear that. The blade just rockets out there, and the jimping on the flipper tab is positioned perfectly. It's a great knife. Let me grab my sharpness tester here. All right, sorry about that. I should have had it sitting here first. One of the things I forgot about. I'm just loading up some more of the media here, which I guess I could do that on camera, but we'll find out. This thing feels very sharp, but I've come to learn with this sharpness tester, just because it feels sharp doesn't mean that it actually is. So we'll see here. So I'm going to turn this, hopefully get it in a way that you can see the whole thing. Get her turned on. Turn on the light. All right, here we go. Here we go. Wow. Wasn't very sharp in that spot. I'm going to do that again because, man, this thing is... My wife did actually just use this to open a package. So I don't know if maybe there was some tape residue or something stuck on there. Because, man, it certainly feels way sharper than that. So for those that don't know, really 200, anything under 200, we're getting pretty damn sharp. So that's where utility blades is 200 in that range. So let's go ahead and zero that out. We're going to do her one more time. Actually, we're going to get her on the belly here a little bit. Oop. 330. So it's not quite as sharp as I was thinking. Man, it feels like a pretty toothy edge, but let me see here. Yeah, it's not really. I mean, it is cutting hair, but it's not hair popping. So it does feel pretty good, but it's not necessarily all that sharp. So, and that could be, like I said, my wife just used this. It may just have some tape residue on it, but I had it sitting on the counter, and she came home, saw it, and opened a package with it. So, anyway, guys, I've been rambling for about long enough here. Check out Ohlone Knives for sure. There are some new models coming, and so stay tuned. I think Derek told me that his next model will be releasing at the end of May, if I remember correctly. But I'll put a link up to his website in the description so you guys can check him out. I'll also link his Instagram as well. He posts a lot of pictures and stuff on there, so you can check that out. And then also NorthWest Knives, definitely go and check them out. Get yourself a free t-shirt. Like I said, they got tons of stuff in stock. They got Sebenza 31s. For those that don't know, or I'm sure most of you know that Chris Reeves is in Idaho. They're actually just maybe 10 or 15 minutes down the road from NorthWest Knives. So he's got the most impressive stock of Chris Reeves knives. Every model, every offering that they make, they definitely have got a ton of Chris Reeves stuff. So if you're looking for a Reeves knife, whatever it is, definitely give Aaron a call, hit him up, get a free t-shirt. And yeah, so awesome guys over there. The whole family's fantastic. Kippy, Kristen, all of them. Yeah, just a great place. If you're in the area, definitely stop by there. But thanks a lot, guys. I really greatly appreciate all the support. I appreciate everybody watching. And that's about all I had for your face balls. Stay tuned. Check out part 2 on this knife. Like I said, we're going to get deep into it, and we're going to do some mods. Peace. We'll see you next time.